Hello and welcome to what could be the last table talk of August. Not 100% sure, but we're going to make it a good one. Yes, hello, welcome everybody. It's Table Talk time again. So if you are one of my new subscribers, firstly, welcome to the channel. It's really nice to have you here. Always appreciate new subscribers, but then I appreciate all of my subscribers. They contribute to the channel in many ways, and they make this a very enjoyable thing to do. So if you've not seen a Table Talk video before, what we do is we talk about what happened last week. It gives you an opportunity to make sure you didn't miss anything, and then we talk about some of the things that might have come out of that, so sometimes people's comments and the like. We talk about what's been happening on the bench, what might have been happening in the model world news that at least I found interesting, and then we talk about what's coming up. And this week we're going to talk about what's coming up across August, just in case I don't get a chance to do another one again. Now the reason for that is this weekend I go away, and I won't be doing any modelling this weekend, which is very rare. And then the following weekend we go away. We've got a long weekend at Farnborough Head, which will be really nice, and doing some walking and some day trips and bits and pieces. Just me, my partner Paula, and my youngest Alice. My eldest daughter's going to be in Norway visiting her boyfriend. And then the weekend after that, it's my birthday. So the 26th of August is my birthday. So I don't know what's going to be happening then. I'm going to be very busy. I've got 2 weeks off in there as well. So I will be getting lots of modelling done, hopefully, but I will also be doing lots of other things, depending on the weather, of course. I think we're on week 3 of drizzle and thunderstorms and just constant precipitation. So yeah, another wet summer. So out of the last 4 summers, we've had one nice one. So I always tend to go away in the UK Whit Week, which is the last week of May, or straddles the last week of May, first week of June, depending on how it falls. And for me, that's generally the best weather of the year. It's not too hot, but it tends to be dry and bright. So yeah, seasons seem to have shifted during my lifetime so far. So I don't tend to book anything for August, and we do day trips and things, and then we can sort of change the plan last minute to suit the weather. And then October we plan to go abroad, where we can find somewhere perhaps a little bit warmer than here, which, well, could be anywhere really. Yeah, so August is about to become very, very busy. Now I might try and get some updates in about what we've been doing and where we've been. One of the things that I'm planning to do during August is visit the Leyland Commercial Vehicle Museum, which is a 5-minute walk from my house, and I've never done it. So it's open every afternoon, is my understanding. And when I first moved here, they were refurbishing it, so it was sort of closed and everything was higgledy-piggledy. But it's now done and properly set up, and I've been meaning to go for 12 months or so, and just haven't got around to it. So I'm gonna go and do that. I might say that's what I'm doing for my birthday and then make everybody go. I don't know yet. But yeah, it's open every afternoon, and sometimes they have special events on, so bank holiday they might do, for example. But it's literally, I don't know, about 15-minute walk in reality from my house. So why have I never been? Well, it's too close to home, isn't it? So yeah, so that I'm going to film and we'll definitely put on as a video. Model kit stuff goes to. I've also got the Stoke-on-Trent model show coming up in August. I usually like to go to that. So that's highly likely that I'll go there and film that like we did with the Bolton one earlier this year, and that's usually one of the 3 model shows that I go to in the year, the other one being Telford and Bolton, like I've just said. So I've got those definitely coming up, but I might put together a little video of what we did at Flamborough Head and Scarborough and that sort of stuff, or I might bunch it together and put it at the tail end of the first Table Talk of September. I don't know, it depends on how much time I've got, not just for the filming but for the editing, the uploading and all that. It all takes time, and I'd rather focus on having a good time, and then we'll catch up with the videos after. So that also brings me to Friday. Now, it's Friday now, Friday morning. I film some of this Friday morning and the balance of it Friday lunchtime. And the result is that it goes out on Saturday. I tend to edit it Saturday morning or sometimes Friday night, depending, and get it uploaded so that it goes out on a Saturday. And that's why sometimes Saturday morning the time changes a little bit when it comes out. I aim for 8 o'clock, but sometimes it's 8:30. It's been 9 o'clock before now, but usually I'm not far from that period. But like we said months and months ago, when I was having my health issues, I don't want to put myself under pressure, and I certainly don't want to get YouTube burnout. I've seen it on other channels and it's ugly, so let's not go there. So we'll just have to see how it all pans out. But at this stage, I don't know what we did tonight. So there's 2 options. So you might have seen part 11 of the Go to Build. I've got all the material, it's in the editing suite. I've started editing it, but I haven't finished editing it, and I've only really done the first sort of 7 minutes maybe of it. So when you think that the hours of the video is about an hour long, you need a minimum of an hour and a half, but typically on a build diary, double the length of the video time is about the editing time. So we need 2 hours before 9 o'clock tonight to be able to edit that, and that's going to be difficult. So we'll just have to see how that goes. If not, I'm hoping that I've got a new kit being delivered today, and we'll do a live stream and do that. I've got a plan C. If that all fails, I'll probably just do a live stream and we'll just have a chat and see how people are and have a talk to people. And I've got 1 or 2 other kits that we can have a look at, maybe. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Now, using my flying hours, I had 70 flying hours saved up, and I've been waiting to use them till there was something came along that I really fancied. And I've been umming and ahhing between 2, and one was to get another Hawker Sea Fury. I've already built one, and I built one of those, so I'll build something else because there's too many kits in the world. So I'd been holding on till that was released with the intention of getting it with the new paint schemes. And at the last minute, I've faltered and gone, do you know what? I think I'd rather get this instead. So I ordered, it cost me 60 of my 70 flying hours. But I've ordered the Dakota Skytrain instead. So I built a Dakota as a kid, and that was in the days when the inside of the cockpit was a blank piece of plastic with 2 blank seats sat on it. And I can't remember what brand it was. I don't remember whether it was Airfix, Revell, or possibly Italeri. But I do remember shoving a garden cane in the shed door and hanging it off the garden cane and taking photographs of it with it looking like it was flying in a sky background. And I was pretty chuffed with my photographic skills at that time. So I would have been 15, 16 maybe. I've never built one since. And the Airfix kit is now very nicely detailed version of that. So I've ended up getting that. So it's cost me £3.49 for a 172 scale Dakota Skytrain. what's not to like there? So I'm looking forward to that. I've got more kits coming from pre-orders from Airfix, some of them hopefully imminently, which means we'll be able to get the flying hours back up to about 30 or so in short order. So that'll be nice. So yeah, I'm hoping the SkyTrain comes tonight, in which case we've got the live action. But one way or another, I will do something in that 9 o'clock slot. But right now, don't know what that is. Whatever it was, I hope you enjoyed it. But yeah, anyway, let's talk about what happened last week first. So we kicked off on Monday with ICM Paints Metallics, which was a really enjoyable video to put together. Those metallics are lovely. They're nice, rich metallic colours that go down really well. I was really impressed with them, and I'd actually say, if you don't want to buy into ICM paints because you've already got other acrylic paint brands, and that's what you work with, I would say entertain having a play with the ICM metallics at a minimum, because they are such nice paints. The metallics particularly, I think, have become my preferred paints in the acrylics at least. But I'm really starting to love them. So we've got 2 more videos to do on the ICM paints, and we'll talk about that when we talk about what's coming up. And then we had on Wednesday, we had the German Cheetah, or Gepard as it's called, which is it's an anti-aircraft tank that also can do land-based attacks as well because of the elevation of the guns. It's a sophisticated piece of kit that was designed to protect infantry from Soviet attack helicopters. That's its original design concept, now being utilized to great effect in Ukraine. I think it's a really clever vehicle for a non-tank vehicle. I think it's actually quite aesthetically pleasing as well. It reminds you of the Second World War anti-aircraft vehicles a little bit, with their anti-aircraft guns mounted on the back of various vehicles. So yeah, interesting kit, but some strange things there, like a box that doesn't fit, instructions being a little bit dicey, and someone made the comment that the tracks looked oversized in terms of depth, thickness of tracks. Quite possibly, I hadn't noticed that as I was reviewing, but I'm no expert on modern vehicles particularly. I know my Second World War one's much better, so that may well be the case. There was also a comment, it might have been the same person, who said the little poly caps that are used to connect all the tracks have a tendency to pop off, which I can well believe. So it may be that we end up trying to find some aftermarket tracks. I don't know whether there is any, but it may be that we have a look around and try and do that. So that's what happened last week. A reasonable amount of interest in all of those videos. So let's talk about some news that happened this week. So if you are hiding under a rock and had cut yourself off from the modelling world, you might not know that the Sea King, was all over the talking this week when Airfix surprise announcement of a new kit. Not this is their 1/72 scale. This is the gift set one, which came in yellow, which was a nightmare because I hand painted that. I hand painted that in yellow. So it came out all right, didn't it? But yeah, they've released it in 1/48 scale. Now, some people had the privilege of going to Airfix. I'm not on Airfix's radar, so I've not been invited, and therefore I didn't get a pre-review kit, but I have ordered it, and when we do it, I will do a not influenced by Airfix review of the kit. Now, I'm a fan of Airfix kits, the modern ones, so it's not likely to be a bad review, is it? But I'm making a point of not watching anybody else's reviews, as I try and do when it's a new kit release, so that I can go into it not being influenced and just seeing what I see. But yeah, excited for that, because we don't really have a decent one. There's an old Hasegawa one, which I looked at when I bought this, and decided the 172 version was probably the best way to go, because the Hasegawa one looked basic in the extreme. So I don't know. I see that Nigel has done a comparison of the two kits. I've not watched the video, so I'm sure his conclusion was that the Airfix kit is way more detailed, and why would it not be at this point in time? I did watch Moz's video when he was there at Airfix, and they were talking about it day after the announcement. So I do know a little bit about what's coming, but I've not looked at the kit. But I have pre-ordered one. I think end of August they come out, by which time everyone will have reviewed them, so there's no point me rushing it out. So I'll just slot it into one of my Wednesday review slots. But if you are interested in the Sea King, then in this month's Airfix Model World magazine, they have a build of it. They also have a build of the new ferret, which is due out anytime now. This is the second build article on the ferret. They had one last month as well, which is why I'm a bit surprised we've not seen it. But we've now got two builds of this, and it looks lovely. So if you've got either of those on pre-order, it's worth getting Airfix Model magazine this month. So yeah, a lovely review, and then they build one of the kit options, not the one on the cover, which is the one I will end up building, one of the others. Right, now, another important thing that's happened this week is I got a drop of subscribers by 3. And I don't know what it is, but when that happens, it seems to happen once every other month. I get a sudden drop of 3, and then over the next 2 days that'll recover and then carry on building. It's not that 3 people have suddenly switched off. I've got people going on and coming off all the time. It's YouTube doing some shenanigans, and I'm not quite sure what it is they do. But when that happens, usually I then start finding that I don't get notifications for 1 or 2 channels. So the channels that I like to follow religiously, such as the Model Ship, Nigel's Modelling Bench, Greybeard's Models, so on and so forth. There's a number of channels, Rims, Jeff Donahue, I could go on. I always go and check my settings, and what I found is on a number of channels I'm still subscribed, but my notifications bell has come off. So I usually click all notifications, but you can do selected and various other things, and it just taken the bell off. So I was subscribed, but I wasn't getting notifications. And I know that when Nigel did his update a few days ago, he said he hadn't seen an update from me for a little while. Well, you know, I'm still chucking out an average of 3 videos a week. So please go in and just check that you still have the notifications bell on, not just for my channel, but any of the channels you follow. It's worth doing, because every now and then YouTube seems to have a little reset. I don't know whether they update systems or something and that causes it to happen, or whether there's someone who just for fun goes in and switches them all off. Who knows? But it does tend to happen, like I say, every other month or so. But for me, the signal is you get this 3 drops, and it's always 3 subscribers. It's a very strange thing. Yeah, if you're a YouTube creator, it's worth just being aware that some people might not be getting your notifications because some wrinkle in time happened in YouTube. But certainly some of my channels that I follow, the notifications bell had come off. Not all of them by any stretch of the imagination, but some of them. And what I've done is I've clicked the home button, and a couple of videos have come up that I haven't had notifications for. So Airfix channel, for example, I got lost my notifications bell for that. So yeah, just worth checking that. So that was one thing that happened this week as well. Another thing to know is if you're a wooden ship modeler, Amati, who are an Italian company, they're on holiday in August, But throughout the August period, if you order direct from them on their website, they're offering a 10% discount on everything. Your order won't get processed until they come back in September, but any orders they receive in August are 10% off. So if you like wooden ships and like me, you think Amaty's up there as the premium brand, then now's the time to go and grab yourself a bit of a bargain. Okay, before we talk about what's happened on the bench this week and then what's coming up, it's time to say thank you to the special people that donated to the channel this week. So if you enjoy my videos and you think you've watched a video and you've learned something you didn't know, or that was a handy tip, or you just enjoyed that half an hour of time, you can always hit the super thanks button underneath the video. It's a little heart-shaped button with a $sign in it, and you can donate to the channel any amount you like. I think it starts from $1 or £1, and any amount you like, and with that, any money that gets generated by the channel, so whether it comes from super thanks or whether it comes from advertising, it stays in the channel. It doesn't go into my personal pocket so that I can go on holiday. Not that you could go on holiday with it anyway, but it goes into the channel so we can do something else on the channel. So right now we're funding the 1:100 scale Hella Sol Royale kit. It's around about £205 to £250 depending on where you shop. It's a large scale plastic kit that I've wanted to build since I was a teenager. We're going to bring it onto the channel, review it, and then ultimately we will build it as well. So that's what we're doing at the moment. That's the next thing we're funding, but it's also going to fund other things like maybe better equipment, better camera or something like that. But primarily it will go into kits for first impressions and that sort of stuff. Some of which from time to time I might sell off, because the stash, it grows beyond what's humanly possible to build in your lifetime. So at some point there'll be things that I thin out and go, right, I want to get rid of. Now I tried doing that earlier this year. It didn't quite go to plan. So I need to rethink how I'm going to do that, but some things will come onto the channel and then will get passed on. So if you enjoy this video or any of my videos at any time, you can hit that super thanks. You don't have to wait till Tabor Talk. Any amount given is greatly appreciated, and if you do hit the super thanks, I will know that gets highlighted to me. And I will give you a shout out on the Table Talk video, which I'm about to do. So this week, a massive thank you goes to the following people who've contributed to the channel, and as you know, that's gone to the Sol Royale. So George364, a massive thank you for your contribution, greatly appreciated. Charles Parker, again, a massive thank you. Greatly appreciated. You know where that's going. Plastic Monkey, thank you very much, Paul. Massively appreciated. So another contribution to the channel there. And Paul Taylor, not for the first time that you've contributed to the channel. Thank you very much, all of you. It's massively appreciated. It does help. I don't do membership and I don't do Patreon, so we keep the channel free to view. But if you enjoy the channel and you're enthusiastic about seeing more content come, then that's a good way of supporting the channel and keeping the wheels rolling. Right then, what happened on the modelling bench this week? Well, I'm guessing you've all been staring at that, and if not, why not? That, as you can probably guess, is my Gota wings. So that's been a bit time consuming, and there was a moment where, you know, I had to hold my breath. So what we've done is we've completed the upper wing and painted the stanchions. So the stanchions took a little bit of time. Some of them need a little bit of drilling out because we're going to put eye bolts in there for the rigging. So sort of before this weekend, where we were up to is we'd put the eye bolts into about halfway. It was just this side of the engine actually on the lower wing. So we've finished the eye bolts on the lower wing. Then we've painted the stanchions. We've importantly coloured in the rigging line. So you probably can't see this on the line. I'll bring it close. It's on a block of sponge at the moment, which I usually use for ships. So you can see there's some rigging lines. So the process of putting the rigging lines on is really important that you get it right. So you put your eye bolt in first. I put them in with CA. Then you put your rigging line on. In my case, I'm using fishing line. I don't like Easy Line because it's not a long-term solution for rigging your model. And also I can, the behavior, it's easier to work with from a behavior point of view, especially if you're doing turnbuckles. So you put your rigging line on, glue your turnbuckle in, then you trim the excess line, and you leave that all to cure. In my case, I left it well over a week. So I'd done about so far, and then I did the rest of the eye bolts. Then we rigged it, and I think we rigged it in 2 lots as well, because it's quite a tedious task. Then I've gone around with a Sharpie and coloured them all in. And the reason why we do that a few days later or after the glue's cured is because that process of just running the Sharpie up and down the fishing line, colouring it into a nice shiny black, is that you're putting some pressure on that eye bolt that you've glued in, and you're tugging on it a little bit, you're putting pressure on the line which is pulling on it, and you're ensuring that they're all glued in correctly. Because if you don't do that, what will happen is, if you colour in your line before you add it on, what will happen is when you're tightening your line up on your other eye bolts and you're finishing the terminating at the other end, you can pull the eye bolt out if it's not secure. So I had one come out, but that saved me a load of heartache because it's much more difficult to do once you're rigging with both the wings on. So that's my process. I will talk about it in the video obviously, but there you go, you've had a heads up on that. So we did that. Then we've painted up the top wing and put the decals on and so on. Then what you've got to do is locate your spars. Now on the bottom wing, nice and easy, because they're all slightly different shaped, which means you get your orientation right and your positioning right. On the top wing here, which is currently on the bottom, they're all circular fittings, and you've got to test fit them, make sure they're all slack enough to just pop them in. Then my process was to glue the spars, the stanchions, into the bottom piece. So they were fitted in, they were glued in. Then you've got to put the top piece on, and I hate that bit. It took me ages. I had the wing hanging over the table with me kneeling on the floor, which isn't a natural position for me in my age, looking up so I could fit them in. I had my light angled, and of course, because I'm underneath looking up, my glasses are slipping down a little bit. My magnifying glasses keep going out of focus because these glasses keep moving. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. And you know, you put one in, yeah, brilliant, and you get the next one in, and the first one pops out, and then you put that back in, and you get the next one in, and then another 2 pop out. It seems to take forever. And in addition, there is, you can't see it here, but there is some control rods that go down to the engine, and they actually poke up through the top of the wing, and they go through a little rectangular opening, and it's quite a tight fit. So you've got to get that through. Now, fortunately, the plastic is such that the stanchions all have a little bit of flex in them. So, you know, but I'm worried about dragging them across the paintwork and causing scuff. So there was a lot of time when my hand rested on it, when me popping things in and holding it down, and popping things in and holding it down. It probably took me about an hour to get the 2 top wings just on. Then you've got to turn it over. Now, you can't glue them into place easily with the top wing on the top. We have to turn this upside down so we can build the float mounting structure and put the floats on before we turn it back and put the fuselage in. So you've got to flip this over with stanchions just glued into the bottom side and not glued into the top wing, and the whole thing's moving like a jelly. So we taped it all up to help sandwich it together, and then you'll see in the video, if you've got my Facebook page, you'll have seen me tilting it onto this. So we took it off its little build jig and rolled it onto this sponge block. But it was a moment I had to hold my breath. So yeah, that's what we did. So the next job is to put the eye bolts in the bottom. I've not done that yet because we wanted to make sure we've got this flipped over. It's easier to do them this way around. We've got to glue the stanchions in, then put the eye bolts in. Then we're going to start the rigging. So we've got plenty to go at on there. A little bit of touch up. The paint's rubbed off a little bit while it was on the jig, unfortunately, but it's Vallejo paint, so you can get that. So that's where we are with the Gota. We didn't manage to progress the Queen Mary 2 because it was quite a busy weekend, so I didn't do as much modelling as usual. Yeah, that's what we did on the bench this week. So next couple of weeks is going to be fairly dry on the modelling. And then I've got a couple of weeks off, and hopefully we'll get some extra done. I'd like to try and get the Gota done by the end of August. I don't know how possible it is, but I'd like to. Queen Mary 2 won't get done by the end of August, but I should be able to push it along quite a way. But it'd be nice in September if we start the Beaufighter and get another build on the go. Now, talking about the Beaufighter, it's an aircraft, as is that, I guess. I did a little survey this week, and it was really, really interesting because it wasn't what I was expecting. I decided to do a survey. Now, if you've not seen it, you can go onto my channel page, go into the community tab, and you'll see there's a little survey running, and it's basically asking you, what is your preferred type of model? Now, I accept that most model builders build a whole variety of different genres and things, and often it's just something that interests them and holds their imagination for that moment. But there is also a lot of modelers out there, probably most of us, that have a preferred subject matter. So that's what I was trying to understand. What's the preferred subject matter? So there's ships, aircraft, vehicles, which includes armoured vehicles, tanks and so on. Vintage kits, because that appears to be a really interesting genre that lots of people are interested in, and dioramas. So this is helping me shape what we build in the future and what we prioritize, particularly as the principal builds. As you know, I usually have two builds going, a principal one and a secondary one, a smaller one if you like. So it's trying to understand that, and what I've come to is a conclusion that surprised me a little bit. So aircraft are the most popular genre. That bit didn't surprise me. Ships have come in second so far. That surprised me a little. I thought the ship genre had a smaller following than it appears to do. So that was really, really interesting, especially from my point of view. I consider myself principally a ship modeler. That's my main field of interest, not that you would especially see that from a channel. But we do always have a ship build on. We have always had a ship build on the go. And they're generally bigger projects, so they tend to be the principal builds. What was interesting was what was after that. Classic kits, something like 5 or 4%. So that's really interesting. Vehicles was the third biggest. Dioramas was less than all. Now that's the maximum number of options I can put into that function. Otherwise, I might have broken it down and put figures in cars and armoured fighting vehicles separately, but I couldn't do that. So I had to sort of go with top level genres. What it means is that for this channel, the principal focus of ships and then aircraft works. Doesn't mean we're not going to do the other stuff, because we are from time to time. You know, we did a diorama recently with the initial build Tiger, which I enjoyed and lots of other people did as well. And we've done we've done some trucks and we've done some cars and stuff, but they always get a slightly lower viewing figure. And actually, my top performing videos of all time are all ships. Or actually, one of them is a submarine. One of my biggest, most successful videos of all time was the review of the Revell's U-boat, the Technic one with all the stuff, and it's just a first impressions video, but it's something like 16,000 views or something like that. So it's interesting that ships are something that I thought about. So I think once we've done the 1-200 Scharnhorst, we'll do some smaller ships, 1-350, and get a little bit of volume. I've got a Titanic with all singing, dancing with lights, loads of photo etch upgrades. It's the ultimate build of the Titanic in 1-350 scale, and considered to be the most accurate kit, even with the release of the 1-200 Trumpeter, which has some issues primarily around the hull, but has some issues. It's no better than the Mini Art 1-350 Titanic, which I still consider the best kit out there. And I started it a little while ago, started doing the hull modifications, and I haven't done anything more with it. So, and I've got all this stuff, so that's something we can revisit. I've got lots of military kits. Japanese stuff is always popular. The Tamiya stuff is always popular. You know, it'd perhaps be nice to do Prince of Wales or the King George. So there's lots of options after Scharnhorst. I know that's way off down the line. Scharnhorst is going to be a big build, but I don't think from a timeline point of view it'll take much longer than the Queen Mary 2, because the scale might be bigger, but the build in many ways is a bit more simple. Once you've got past the hull, there isn't a lot of scratch building in. There's a little bit on the lower superstructure where the shape's incorrect, but fundamentally there's not masses wrong with it. Obviously the bow deck area is fundamentally incorrect, but I consider that part of the initial hull construction. So once we've got past the hull bit, it's not too bad, and the colour scheme I've chosen is fairly simple, which means we can build up big sub-assemblies and then just paint the whole lot in one go, with the exception of deck areas. The steel decks are slightly different colour. We are going to weather it, so that'll take more time. So it shouldn't take more than 12-18 months, as long as I manage to maintain my mojo. So the next thing will be, what are we doing in the way of aircraft? And we know we're doing the Beaufighter. We know we're then doing the Matchbox Char B. What we do after that, I don't know. Probably I'd like to get some smaller kits out of the way, some 172 aircraft, and get some volume done. So yeah. So that survey is really interesting me. It gives me a good steer what to focus on. I have got a plan of doing a buddy build as well in there, which is a truck, and it's a recent kit. So what I'm getting the feeling from there's two things I've learned. Firstly, from the feedback is new kit reviews and builds are of interest. Ships and aircraft are of interest. Those are the fundamentals. What I've learned is, if I'm going to focus on something like a truck, you're probably better doing a newer release than a classic release if you want lots of people to view it. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to build this stuff, because fundamentally the channel follows me working through my stash. I've always said that. So when I get the urge to build a truck or a car or whatever, I'm going to do that. I have a tram diorama in plan with a FAMO tank transporter on it. Be a big diorama. I will do that at some point. So despite the fact that it'll be less popular, doesn't mean I'm not going to do it. The other thing that I've learned is, if you're Airfix and your main focus is aircraft kits, you're talking to 44% of modelers. And then if your next biggest focus is vintage classics, you're only adding on another 5% of modelers. So with everything they key focus on, leaving military vehicles for 1 second, their key focus, aircraft, vintage classics, they're only talking to half of the modelling community. And Airfix don't do anything new with ships. There is no new ships come out of Airfix for a few years now. The most recent being the model of the D-Class destroyer, which just happens to be the best model of its type on the market, most accurate, most detailed. The build construction's a bit weird, but it's a very, very accurate kit. We've built it on the channel, Dragon Daring class. Beautiful kit. They've done a submarine, which no one's really interested in, and they also did the aircraft carrier, the Illustrious, is it? All of which are the best kits of the type in their class, and yet Airfix say there's no interest in ships. I beg to differ. Anyone at Airfix, if you're watching this channel, you are missing out on a whole percentage, 40% of modelers that like to build ships. Now, if you start putting ships out, Mr. Airfix, on top of the 50% of modelers you're covering, you'll suddenly be covering 80 to 90% of modelers. Something for Airfix to think about. By the way, we would like some more ships. Right then, let's talk about what's coming up in the week ahead. Monday coming, we're going to do the rest of August just in case this is the last table talk of August. So Monday coming, we've got ICM airbrushing, which is an interesting video worth watching. If you've been following along with the ICM paints and you think, you know what, it'd be interesting to know how this airbrushes, or you're holding off to see how it airbrushes, that's the video to watch. Then we've got on Wednesday a review of the Airfix 1:48 scale Boulton Paul Defiant, which I'm hoping will be a popular video as it's an aircraft and it appeals to many of you. Then it's unlikely there'll be a build on that Friday. I'm away on that Friday, so I won't be available. So I'm not going to have a build without it being having the live chat as a premiere. So there won't be a build. I don't know whether there's going to be a table talk. Again, it's unlikely, but it's not impossible. The following week on the Monday, I've got my final thoughts on the ICM paint. So we'll summarise it all and give you a good view of my thoughts of the ICM paints. And then we've got the St. Olaf. Now, if you like building ships, and I know there's a good 40% of you that do, and you fancy doing something a bit different, or your name's Stephen Payne and you just happen to like very big ships and ship models, then this might be an interesting video. It's from a company called Dean's Marine. I think I gave you a sort of a preview that I was filming it a few weeks ago. It's designed to be radio controlled, so it's a very different build experience to a normal model kit. You get a fiberglass hull, and then you get a load of plastic card, white metal and resin parts, and away you go. It's very, very interesting. So we've got first impressions of the St. Olaf, which is a US hospital ship, primarily because it's the biggest ocean liner looking thing I could find as a kit. I've had it a few years in my stash. It's a retirement project. It's not something I plan to do in the near future. Unfortunately, I've got a few years yet before I can retire, which is a real shame. Could do with coming into money. And then we could retire and get lots of modelling done on this channel. Anyway, yeah, that's coming on the Wednesday. Then the plan is, again, unlikely to be a build that Friday because I'm away that Friday as well. Then on the Monday, we've got a review of the Tamiya photo etch benders, and the following Wednesday, the Tamiya SDKF Z222 model kit. Now, there won't be a build, I don't think, that Friday. It's possible, but it's not likely. There's possible of a table talk, but 50-50. And then on the following Monday, there'll be a review of aftermarket for the 222, which is a resin set and photo etch set from Eduard, and we'll have a look at that for being able to build an ultimate build of that kit, which will be really nice. And then that's followed on the Wednesday by the 1/12 scale Airfix Bentley 1930s Bentley racing car. Beautiful, beautiful kit actually, and a number of you are interested to see that. I know because you saw my short on it. So that'll be coming up. That gets us to the 30th of August. It is most likely that the 1st of September there will be a build. It's most likely that it will be either, if I don't do GOTA today, it will be the GOTA build, be GOTA Part 11, otherwise we'll be on, I think it's number 27 of the Queen Mary 2 if we did get GOTA out today. That then gets us into September, and what I will say is the first impressions of September is a classic kit, but it appeals to those of you that love ships, and for me this is the mother of all ships, really. Okay, that is what's coming up. Shall we have a quick look at the garden? Well, I think we've had nearly 3 weeks now of solid rain, most days from drizzle to thunderstorms, but it's not done the garden any harm at all. So let's have a quick look where we're up to. Tomatoes, they're doing fine. Look, we have some really nice tomato growth. It has surpassed what I expected, so that is lovely. And then on our second plant, which is a different variety, we have some there, but we also have some more tomatoes. So look at the rhubarb. I'm away this weekend, but we'll do something with that in the week, like eat some. My gooseberries are starting to soften up now, so they're nearly ready for picking. In fact, it looks like they are, so we might do that today. But yeah, behind that is the tomato plants that didn't quite cut the muster for the main tub, but we do have tomatoes on those as well, so all very nice. Lavender's flowering, which is good. My black grass is still flowering and looking pretty. My leeks, they're almost at the point of picking. French beans we've done with. Fernery is looking lush, absolutely lovely weather for the ferns. That has just gone bonkers, and it always does, and I cut it hard back every year. Like I say, it comes through from next door actually, not a planned plant, but it covers the hosta, which is struggling to flower when you consider that the other hosta is well in flower. This one is struggling a little bit. I've generally found that things haven't flowered as well this year, and I think that's the lack of sunshine and the cool temperatures. Even the jasmine's not had as many flowers on it. There's not many left now though. The zebra grass is a little bit swamped by it, so we need to do some trimming. And we've got lots of roses, need to do some deadheading, and you can see our lanterns coming together nicely. And this thing has gone mad. This has done next to nothing for years, and this year has gone berserk, really has. And then we've got growth there, which is actually this dead thing here, and when it flowers, which it's not done this year, you get lovely bluebell like flowers. But you know, clematis is just starting, that's late, and hardly any flower heads compared to previous years. So again, things just haven't liked the weather this year, and I don't blame them. Right then, that was the garden done, all going well. I've now picked the gooseberries, so we've got a handful. My girls have never tried gooseberries because they don't sell them in the supermarkets here in the UK. If it's not in the supermarket, it doesn't exist. We used to have gooseberry bushes when I was a kid, so you know, gooseberry cobblers, stewed gooseberries and ice cream and stuff like that. I love gooseberries, and I'm so frustrated I can't get them. I planted a bush. So the girls are going to try gooseberries for the first time. It's enough to have a teaspoon's full, but hopefully that bush will get a lot bigger in the future. Anyway, that's it. I think I'm going to be on my jollies. I'm not sure when I'll next see you. Hopefully we'll get to pop in and talk to you again during August, but there's no guarantees. If I don't see you till September, have a lovely August holiday season. Hope you get nice weather. Hope you get a nice peaceful time, a chance to do lots of modeling. Enjoy it. I will see you in September, if not before. Have a great time. Enjoy your modeling, and I'll see you soon. Thanks. Bye for now.